warm welcome on behalf of the Paceline community, our board and staff who are all here today to join us. It's been said that nothing happens until something moves. A ball has to start rolling for change to occur. In our case, turning wheels to set the pace for better treatments, prevention and cures for all kinds of cancer. Today is when those wheels turn into progress. Together we raised a total of $400,000 in 2022. And thanks to dedicated support from our founding partners and friends at the Medical College of Georgia Foundation, what's most important is that 100% of those dollars we raised go directly to innovative cancer research here at the Georgia Cancer Center. What we're doing together, in simple terms, is driving real community impact here at the GCC. And it's my pleasure to hand over to Dr. Cortez to really put sort of the story, not just the dollars, like many instances, there's a story around and beyond just the simple dollars here. And that's one of community impact. And it's my pleasure and honor to hand over to Dr. Cortez to put some more words to that. Thank you, Dr. Cortez.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much, Martin, and thank you everybody for coming. When Martin was talking about the Paceline community, I hope you realize that we're all the Paceline community. And we want to expand the Paceline community to include all the CSRA community. This is an event that really its major goal, its major impact is to help the community through our research, of course, but also through engaging them in physical activity, through creating this awareness about cancer. There's so many goals that we have with Paceline that it is great to have all of you involved, and this community continues to grow. It is very nice to see how we see every day more writers signing up, more people asking about Paceline. I was talking the other day, I missed our last board meeting for Paceline because I was traveling to a meeting of the American Society of Hematology. So I was traveling back and waiting for to board my flight in Atlanta, coming back to Augusta. There was a gentleman who stopped me and said, "Aren't you with Paceline?" That really made me feel very good. I think we are making an impact. So that's what we want, for everybody to be part of Paceline. And there's so many ways that we all can get involved, and so many ways that you all have been involved, and hopefully we continue expanding that message and that family. Today we are here to celebrate one aspect of the Paceline, which is the awards that we are able to give to our investigators, thanks to the support of Paceline, thanks to all of you who wrote, to all of you who fundraised, all of you who donated your time, your effort, and your money to make this possible. We are very confident that next year is this year is going to be even greater than last year. Let me very briefly give you a little bit of background before we go towards our awardees. Just to remind you who we are. It is important to take in consideration, we are the only state cancer center in Georgia. That's it. We are the only state cancer center in the state of Georgia. And our mission is to reduce the burden of cancer in the state of Georgia and across the globe through our superior care, our innovation, and our education. Ultimately, what we want to do is get to NCI designation, and I'll get to that in a minute. I just want to introduce you to our leadership team. I'm very proud of the very strong team that we have that helps drive everything that happens here. Dr. Gilera, who's the Associate Director for Clinical Operations, Dr. Barrett, who's the Department Chair for Radiotherapy, Dr. Gore, who's the Associate Director for Research and for Basic Research, and Dr. Ganandi, who's the Associate Director for Clinical Research. And I just want to show you a few important programs, and this is just a few, not at all meant to be all-inclusive. But Dr. Henson, a very prominent neuro-oncologist, has developed a great program in neuro-oncology And then together with others, including Dr. Faisal Asunda, both of them writers, by the way, are doing a fantastic program with genetic counseling, unique in the state and in many ways unique in the country. Dr. Kora, who has developed a fantastic program for cellular therapy, bringing CAR T cells to our institution, to our state. Dr. Hidir Favre, who does a great program in palliative care. Harry Kashyap, who's almost finishing his PhD, a great lymphedema program to support those women that develop this problem after breast cancer surgery. We got very lucky to recruit one of the, to me, at least in my opinion, I may be biased, but I think I'm right, one of the best cardio-oncologists in the country, Dr. Ravi Guha. And then we have a great program to support the mental health needs of our patients with Dr. Bickham and Dr. Casanova. We also got fantastic research programs. We have a great cancer immunology and inflammation and tolerance program, and the leader of that is Dr. Lynn Hedrick. We have the other pillar of our basic research, the molecular oncology and biomarkers, which is led by Dr. Nahid Mivechi. We also have a cancer prevention, control, and population health. This is a program that we're reshaping. We have some great members here. We're recruiting for a leader of that program. We have our honorary cancer program, sickle cell. It's not cancer. Don't go out and say, Cortez said that sickle cell is cancer. Is that true? No, it's not cancer. But we're very proud of our sickle cell program, and I want to highlight the great work that Dr. Pace and Dr. Kudlar do for the Cancer Center, in addition to what they do for sickle cell, a big problem in Georgia. And then a newly formed Center for Cancer Genomics, who's led by Dr. Ravi Kolhe. We have been very active in clinical trials. We've implemented a large number of trials. A number of accruals continues to increase. And thanks to the efforts of Dr. Gamandi and many others, the enrollment of minorities in clinical trials has greatly exceeded the national average. The national average is 5%. Here we have 49%, huge numbers compared to the nation. So what is NCI designation? NCI designation is a recognition of the excellence of your work in research, in community outreach, in clinical trials, and engagement of the community. So all of these efforts that we are doing here, some of them, for example, engaging the community, and some of them supporting the research that happens here, all of these, Paceline will be a central part of our ability to get to NCI designation. There's a whole lot of work that we need to do, but what Paceline is doing is helping us tremendously get to that point. So that is one of the main reasons why we are so excited about Paceline. So as we mentioned, you may have heard, since Paceline was started, the first ride, it was founded in 2018, the first ride happened in 2019, which I remember vividly because I fell and I hurt very hard. That's okay. But since then, we have raised $1 million. Now, if you consider that includes that gap with COVID, where we still had a virtual ride and we received support from Paceline, that is a tremendous achievement, and the growth, I think, it has been fantastic. And I'm just going to go very quickly through the programs that have been funded in past years. These are our 2019 winners. One of them was from major equipment that we desperately needed. But then we had some of the other winners, and they're here in the room. If Dr. Chi, Dr. Kolhe, I think I saw them. Can you raise your hands if you're here? The awardees from 2019. Then for 2020, again, this was a bit of a down year from COVID. We were still able to fund a couple of programs. Can you raise your hand here, Dr. Hu and Dr. Hanson? Thank you very much. And then 2021, we started up again our upward swing. We have many more awardees. Raise your hand if you're here, all of the awardees. And they've done a fantastic job with everything they've done. You know, Dr. Mivechi was able to translate hers into now an R1 grant. Dr. Bevel, if you walk down to the lobby, you will see that they were setting up these gardens that were part of the development of his grant, investigating the nutritional needs of the population and how that contributes to cancer. And I cannot go through all of them because that would take me the whole hour, if not the whole day. But you get the flavor of how relevant this has been. So in 2022, we had great teams that supported us. These are just the top teams, but there were so many riders and teams that they're all very much appreciated. These were our top fundraisers for last year. I want to really give a hand to Don because he's been one of the biggest champions for if you heard his ride that he did maybe a couple of months ago, going, how many miles was that?
600.
600 miles going, fundraising all over the state and finish here at the Cancer Center. That was just very inspiring. So thank you very much to everybody who has fundraised and everybody who has donated for Paceline. So we're going to move on to the 2022 awardees. And before I do that, I'm going to first give really, I want everybody to give a big hand to Dr. Baldincourt. She organized the whole program of evaluating all the proposals, getting all the scores, chasing everybody, even chasing them so that everybody's going to ride. All of them are going to ride in 2023. So that was fantastic. So Dr. Carr did an outstanding job. She was really very fortunate to include her here as an associate director for research, and so she is going to help us present the award to all the awardees and tell us a little bit about each one of them. So Baldine, thank you very much, and give it up to you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for saying all those kind words. But now the fun begins. All right. Before we start, I do want to thank Lisa Middleton, who really worked tirelessly making sure the whole review process was entirely seamless. We had 23 applications this year, and each and every one of them was really innovative, very spectacular, and it was a very hard job to pick 12 because we had funding only for 12. So we need more money. We have great ideas. We need more money. And these are the reviewers, the scientific reviewers who reviewed this year's applications. It was a lot of time investment, and we are all extremely grateful to them for their time, which brings us to the 9 applications that we picked from the 23. The first application is Dr. Arbab Ali. He's been looking at immune cells, which can be tumor killing, and these are particularly called macrophages, or the M2 form that they take can support tumor growth. And what he's designing in this application is a very innovative approach where he tells other immune cells to kill these tumor-supporting immune cells. And so delighted to have this very innovative, exciting research right here. Let's give a hand to Dr. Our next recipient of this award is Dr. Chudley. Dr. Chudley has been working with a protein which in normal cells, as you can see on the top left, is throughout the cells. But when this cell becomes a cancer, this protein moves to the center, the nucleus of the cell, which is the governing body of the cell. And to try to understand what this protein does, he removed it from tumor cells. And the top are tumors which have this protein, and the bottom are the tumors which did not have this protein. And now he's really trying to do a drug screening to identify ways in which he can therapeutically target it. And he's also a writer for 2023. Woohoo! The next awardee is Dr. Kuhi. We all know about the advances that immunotherapy has made in cancer, and there are markers of immune suppression which are used clinically to see if patients will respond or not. Dr. Yon Kui has gone above and beyond that. She's using artificial intelligence to not just detect these markers, but also see what's close around these markers, which would be affected by them, and if that can be a better prognostic marker than the current ones to really enhance the treatment ability. The really exciting part of this platform is that it can be used for so many other things. There are so many signals in a cancer that interact with each other. And she's also a writer for 2023. The next is a multi-PI proposal. The next is a multi-PI proposal between Dr. Hay and Dr. Panda. Dr. Hay is really one of the experts in looking at these immune cells, which shown here in the red are small immune cells called T cells. They identify cancers. They're like, there's something wrong with this cell. And they come close and give it a kiss of death. And that's what's happening in this image over here. While these cells, CAR T cell therapy has shown a lot of advances for hematological cancers. They are really show very poor penetration inside solid tumors, and they get exhausted very quickly. And so Dr. Hay and Dr. Panda have struck up a very cool collaboration where they're using chemistry to improve the penetration of these killer cells into the tumors. And then they're also using the biology of solid tumors to prevent this exhaustion. This here is an example of mice which had tumors on their sides. And on the bottom left is images of these T cells going into the tumors and staying there much longer than on the right, where over a period of time these T cells have cleared away from the tumor. Dr. Hay is also a writer for 2023, so very excited to present this award. Dr. Hay and Dr. Panda. And this is a translational research award. This is by Dr. Hong. He's also a young faculty who was recruited here just last year. Dr. Hong works on training viruses to kill only cancer cells and not normal cells. And when he puts this in animals, about half the animals will completely reject the cancer and there'll be cures like shown on these MRI images on the left. And half the animals retain the tumor. 50% complete response for an aggressive brain tumor is really, really good, but it wasn't good enough for Dr. Hong. And so what he has been working in very close collaboration with Dr. Mun is to try to understand these tumors which did not respond, why they do not. He has identified a protein IDO for which we have drugs that were made right here in Augusta University. They are already in patients and first in human trials over here. And what Dr. Hong plans to do is to test it in combination with the viruses and eradicate cancer. Dr. Hong is also a writer for 2023. Dr. Sai also had a very innovative proposal. And what Dr. Sai is doing is she's trying to create a comprehensive cancer database. Right now, the information about our patients, what they do, which areas they come from, everything is in a few different databases. And this comprehensive cancer database would be so important to promote research, to understand which populations are there. I created this as an example. So if the research done in Dr. Hong's and Dr. Hayes' lab identifies that single men who are green will be the best candidates for this drug, then using this database, she can very clearly eliminate in our patient population right here patients who are in a group support, women, old men, old women, children, to identify those 3 patients who will benefit from that drug. This will also set up a first-in-time example of how to get these different databases to talk to each other. Dr. Sai is also a writer for 2023. In fact, she has her own time. They're a team called BAD, which is Bicyclists Against Disparities. Very happy to have you. PI grants, and the next 3 are 3 trainee awards, and very excited to say that each of these trainee awards and their mentors has done a spectacular job of pursuing research in extremely innovative ways. And so this is Dr. Aluwalia, who's mentored by Dr. Cole Hay, and together they are looking at how the tumor, but also the normal tissue that's right adjacent to the tumor, is thought to be normal, but is not normal. And so he's really looking at how these normal adjacent tissue talks to the tumor tissue. And they're doing this in using a very novel technology where you can do sequencing, but you can also know where that cell was in its spatial location on the tissue. This would be the first time development of such a high resolution in situ 3D imaging. And so very excited to see what the results of this research will lead to. And Dr. Aluwalia is also a writer for 2023. His mentor has been a long-time supporter for Paceline. And so I would really like to cheer for Dr. Aluwalia. The second Early Career Investigator Award that we have is for Mercy Kehinde Ige. She's just a graduate student, very probably the youngest awardee to be announced today. She's being mentored by Dr. Shi, and she's looking at this T-cell therapy that I talked about earlier, these small cells which are being used clinically to give cancer the kiss of death. And she's identified a very different molecular way to empower these cells. She's using a protein that's always active to give these T cells much more robustness, much more energy. And at the top here, the lines are really individual mice with tumors. And given the regular T cells, the tumors respond, but then they grow back. And once she energizes these T cells with this constitutively active protein, the tumors all regress from where they were on the top right panel, and there's a complete response until the volume is 0. And so very excited to see where she takes this next. She's a Paceline Ball for 2023. And her mentor, Dr. Shi, is also a rider for 2023. All Last, but not definitely not the least, is Dr. David Mysona. He's a gynecology oncology fellow, and he is looking at financial toxicity that patients face. Now, this is something that we don't think about every day, but this is a real challenge for patients, especially our patient population, a large part of it which comes from rural areas. And the knowledge, the diagnosis of cancer is so overbearing that these patients will often not even tell their physicians that they cannot afford the medicines. And so they have to make some life-changing decisions along with the diagnosis of cancer. And so what he's really worked at are ways to identify these patients who are at risk of developing financial toxicity. And really, the advantage of this is that there are programs which can help and guide this patient population, but a lot of these patients from the rural area are not aware, and they're also not forthcoming about the challenges they're facing with the physician. And so once these patients are identified who are at risk for financial toxicity, we can then bridge the link between them and these programs. And Dr. Mysona is also a Paceline participant. His mentor is also a Paceline rider. And Dr. Mysona brought in the youngest Paceline supporter of the day. And that brings us to the end of the awards, but I really do want to thank the entire Paceline Foundation, all the donors, the big riders, everybody, even $5 that you donate, nothing is too small. It all adds up in a pot. The ocean's made of drops. Every little bit helps, and it all goes to support very innovative research that will bring hope for the next generation of cancer patients. Starting from right here in Augusta, Georgia.
Thank you, Dr. Kaur, and thank you, everybody. I want to wrap this up just with a couple of comments. One is Dr. Keel was unable to be here, but he asked me to confer the congratulations to all the awardees that we are celebrating today. So hopefully next year we'll have him here. The second thing is that we mentioned all the reviewers. Thank you, all of you. We have a little gift here for you. So before you leave the room, please come and we'll give you your little something. This is something else that was not ready, but we'll give it to you. But at least just in recognition of your great work, because obviously all of these is dependent on the proposal that's so good that we need good reviewers to tell us which ones are at the top. I mean, they're all great, but we can only go so far. And I think this is dying. I get the message. I talk too much. And the last thing is just to emphasize what Dr. Kaur mentioned. I really hope everybody here has signed up. And if you have not, this is your reminder. You are going to sign up. So there's something for everybody. There is the 70 miles, but there's also the 50. There's the 25. There's the 1 mile the cyber circuit. There's even the Paceline Pulse for those who don't want to ride. There's volunteering. And of course, you can help us engage the community. We need everybody in Augusta involved. We all connect with different people, with different businesses, with different friends, with different neighbors. We can tell them about everything you heard here today and the good use that these funds go to get them excited. I think these events has the potential to continue growing really exponentially. And I want to thank Marty and the whole team from Paceline. Doug, who really was the one who started with this idea and get us going with Paceline. He's president of the board, and I think we owe him a lot of appreciation. Thank you very much, Doug, for all these efforts. And thank you all for being here. Please help us continue this effort and make Paceline the biggest event of this kind in the whole country. I think we can do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Cortez. I'm Dag Grantham, and it's a pleasure to be here. What a wonderful day. We've said thank you enough. We're going to keep saying thank you. You know, when I wanted to share a few thoughts with you all real quick, and then it's time to get back to the real world. But when I look out at the crowd that we have here today, I see so many differences. And I see Medical College of Georgia Foundation members. I see researchers. I see survivors. I see writers. I see volunteers. I see fantastic differences. But it's not about our differences. It's about what brings us together. And what I see is a passion for curing cancer faster. And if you don't know, Paceline, for those of you who don't know, of course it's a great term. It's us, right? We're Paceline, but Paceline is a biking term when the bikers line up together and they ride in the slipstream, the breaking up the air, and they get where they're going faster. So that's why Paceline exists, so that together we can cure cancer faster. We got 74 days until Pace Day 2023, our 5th year. I've got some high goals. The staff is amazing. They exceed expectations daily thanks to Martin's leadership, James, Kayla, her fantastic work, Don in there helping. We've got some more folks coming on board, and I'm very, very excited about that. Tomorrow, the opportunity becomes a volunteer. That link opens up. So you don't have to be a rider. You can be a volunteer. And as much as Dr. Cortez talked about bringing in Augusta and all that, there's a big thing we love about this place, and that's the G in Georgia Cancer Center. Call those folks you know across the state. We love South Carolinians too, so you can bring them as well. But again, it's great to see the passion. I think we found our new marketing expert who's going to do all our radio. I love the passion, but thank you again. What a wonderful 4 years, over $1 million, and now we're going to work to double it in the next 2 years or less. Thank you again.